By the time the sun rose over northern Ohio, Detective Sarah Whitmore had already memorized the name flashing across her screen. Angela Morris, Linda Carter's younger sister, the woman in the passenger seat of Michael Carter's car, the same sister Linda had tried to call in her final seconds. This discovery didn't just complicate the case, it detonated it. Angela lived 3 hours away in Columbus. She worked as a medical billing coordinator, had no criminal record, no history of financial trouble, and no known connection to Michael beyond family gatherings. On the surface, she was the last person anyone would suspect, but traffic camera footage didn't lie. At 3:42 a.m., less than 2 hours after Linda was found, Michael's car passed a toll booth heading east. Angela sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. She didn't look distressed. She didn't look forced. She looked calm. Detective Whitmore ordered an immediate warrant for Angela's phone records and bank statements. What came back sent another chill through the task force. Over the last 6 months, Angela had received 4 wire transfers totaling $62,000. The transfers originated from an LLC linked to Michael Carter, the same LLC investigators had flagged earlier. The money wasn't labeled as gifts. It was disguised as consulting fees. Consulting for what? Whitmore drove to Columbus with 2 federal financial crimes agents. By the time they reached Angela's apartment complex, it was already surrounded by local police. But Angela wasn't there. Her car sat in the parking lot. Her door was locked. Inside, nothing appeared disturbed, except for one thing. Her laptop was missing. Back in Ohio, Ethan Carter struggled to process the new revelation. Sitting across from Detective Whitmore, his face drained of color when he heard his aunt's name. "That's impossible," he whispered. "Aunt Angie loved MOM. Whitmore did respond immediately. She had seen this before, family members clinging to the version of people they thought they knew. But love and betrayal often wore the same face. When forensics pulled data from Linda's recovered phone, they uncovered weeks of text messages between the sisters. At first, the messages were normal holiday plans, casual check-ins. Then, about 2 months ago, the tone shifted. "Linda, why are you meeting with him alone?" "Angela, it's not what you think." "Linda, I saw the bank statements." "Angela, please don't do this." The final message, sent the night Linda died, read, "Linda, I'm telling Ethan everything tomorrow." Angela never responded. Detective Whitmore stared at the thread. Whatever secret Linda had uncovered, she had threatened to expose it. And that threat had changed everything. Meanwhile, the burner phone found in Michael's trunk began to yield answers. Analysts managed to extract partial GPS data before the device had been wiped. The final location ping came from an abandoned marina near Lake Erie. By nightfall, Whitmore stood at the edge of the water, wind whipping against her coat as officers searched the docks. One of the patrol units called out. They had found a small motorboat missing from its slip. The owner, an elderly man who lived out of state during winter, confirmed he hadn't authorized anyone to use it. Michael and Angela hadn't just been fleeing by car. They had switched to water. The search expanded across the shoreline, and by the second day, the U.S.N. Marshals Service joined the manhunt. News outlets across the country picked up the story. Financial advisor accused in wife's murder fleeing with sister-in-law. Public reaction was swift and brutal. But while the media chased headlines, Whitmore focused on motive. Financial analysts digging through Michael's records uncovered something massive: millions of dollars siphoned from client investment accounts over a 4-year period. The funds had been rerouted through shell companies, offshore holdings, and finally into high-risk ventures that had collapsed months earlier. Michael hadn't just been under pressure. He had been drowning, and Linda had found out. The flash drive labeled insurance revealed more corrupted files, but technicians managed to restore fragments of deleted documents. Among them was a spreadsheet listing client names and falsified returns. Next to several entries were handwritten notes in Linda's script. "Fraud confirmed. Report," and next to one name, "Angela Ware." Whitmore felt the pieces aligning into a darker shape. Angela hadn't been an innocent bystander. She had been part of the cover-up. But why? Late that evening, a breakthrough arrived from an unexpected source. A fisherman near Sandusky reported spotting a couple arguing on a dock 2 nights earlier. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, until he saw their faces on the news. He described the man as frantic, the woman as angry. They were whisper yelling, he said. "I heard her say, 'This wasn't the plan. This wasn't the plan.'" That single sentence echoed in Whitmore's mind. Maybe Linda's death hadn't unfolded exactly how they intended. 2 days later, a patrol helicopter scanning a remote stretch of wooded shoreline spotted the missing motorboat lodged against rocks. It had run out of fuel. Nearby, footprints led into the trees. Search teams moved carefully, weapons drawn. The forest was silent except for crunching leaves and distant waves. Then, a K9 unit picked up a scent trail leading to a small, abandoned hunting cabin. Inside, the air was stale. Blankets lay scattered across the floor. Empty water bottles, canned food. They were close. But Michael and Angela were gone again. On a table in the cabin sat a notebook. Most pages had been ripped out, but one remained. Written in hurried pen strokes were 3 words. "He's turning on me." Whitmore's pulse quickened. Who was he? Michael? Or someone else? Back at headquarters, a federal agent cross-referenced the offshore accounts tied to Michael's fraud scheme. One name surfaced repeatedly as a silent partner and investor who had quietly backed several of Michael's ventures. Andrew Hale, a venture capitalist based in Chicago. When agents dug deeper, they found something else. Angela Morris had traveled to Chicago twice in the past year. Both trips coincided with meetings between Michael and Hale. This wasn't just a desperate husband trying to silence his wife. It was a collapsing financial conspiracy. And then, just as investigators prepared to bring Andrew Hale in for questioning, news broke that sent shockwaves through the task force. Angela Morris had walked into a small-town police station in western Pennsylvania. Alone, disheveled, exhausted, terrified. She claimed Michael had threatened her, that Linda's death had spiraled out of control, that they were supposed to stage a disappearance, not a murder. But when detectives began pressing her for details, her story shifted. Small inconsistencies, contradictions about the timeline, and when asked why she accepted over $60,000 in consulting fees, she hesitated too long before answering. Then she said something that made the interrogation room go silent. "It wasn't just Michael," she whispered. "Linda knew about Andrew. She was going to expose all of us. We couldn't let that happen. All of us." Detective Whitmore leaned forward slowly. "Where is Michael now?" Angela's hands trembled. "He said if I talked," she said, tears streaming down her face, "I'd end up like my sister." And then she delivered the final blow. "The last time I saw him, he wasn't running anymore." Whitmore's voice was steady. "What do you mean?" Angela looked up, eyes hollow. "He said he had one more thing to take care of. That night, authorities issued a nationwide alert for Andrew Hale. Because if Angela was telling the truth, this case wasn't over. It was escalating, and somewhere out there, a desperate man with nothing left to lose was preparing his final move. If you think justice is close, think again. Like this video if you believe betrayal cuts deepest within family. And subscribe now because Chapter 3 will reveal who truly orchestrated the night Linda Carter died, and why Michael Carter may not have been the mastermind after all.